Hi everyone, you're watching Alpha 7. This is Diana, and I've been having a lot of technical difficulties these past few days, and Diadash will be up and running in a few, I think on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that, and please check me out there. And on eBay, I've been posting amazing new products. I just debuted my Kadesh Gardens brand, so if you plug in Kadesh Gardens on eBay, you'll see what I'm talking about. I just wanted to put up this important video. It seems the witches and ghouls, they're out promoting their need for innocent blood and human sacrifice. If you guys haven't watched it, I'll put a link below. I mean, even the comments, you know, I'm talking about Doublespeak on this channel, and the book that I'm talking about by William Lutz also talks about political language which is being used on us, and it's designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidarity to pure wind. To pure wind. It says Orwell understood well the power of language as both a tool and a weapon. In the nightmare world of his novel 1984, Orwell depicted a society where language was one of the most important tools of the totalitarian state. And guys, they're calling murder of innocent children healthcare. So this is where America screwed all the way up, having these Soviet devils. I mean, what is this androgyne thing? Okay, you'd be surprised who these people really are. And they're bringing children to the marches. I think this is all chaos agents, to be honest with you, designed or paid for by the so-called black-robed, priests of these so-called courts.
Marched at rallies across the country today, decrying Texas's tough new restrictions on most abortions. The biggest march was in Washington, D.C., where demonstrators headed straight to the steps of the Supreme Court as justices get set to hear a pivotal case on abortion rights. CBS's Nicole Killian was among the marchers today. Nicole?
So just goes to show that these are evil nations working together, because you got a so-called Caucasian-looking lady, Berber, whatever you want to call them. You got the light skin, and you got this freaking dark-skinned devil. So this is not a color thing. This is a spiritual war. Because look, I mean, it all goes back to these Roman columns, the way of Rome, the heavy fist. Yeah, it's all about Rome acting like they're God on earth, right? And yeah, you got all these agents of different nations, and also of Asian nations too. So definitely divided loyalties, not a race thing per se.
The Supreme Court will start a new term next week and will take up a case later this year that could test the bounds of Roe versus Wade, something demonstrators here want to defend.
Did you guys notice her last name? I don't know if these are stage names and all that, but their surname supposedly had the word kill in it. Always look out for these so-called names. A lot of them could just be professional names, but they have clues in themselves, because these are like dark clowns. They have a dark sense of humor, and they always have to show you what it is.
Bounds of Roe versus Wade, something demonstrators here want to defend. Thousands descended on the nation's capital for a rally on...
Sorry, I just wanted you to see her name come up again.
A new term next week, and will take up a case...
See how it has Killian. They always do that.
Later this year that could test the bounds of Roe versus Wade, something demonstrators here want to defend. Thousands descended on the nation's capital for a rally on abortion justice. In the crowd, 9-year-old Alexis Brennan.
Why did you want to come?
Because I feel it's important that women have rights.
So why are they bringing a child into it? Is this not prophecy also being shown to us from Isaiah 3? So important. This is a recurring chapter that keeps coming up. Isaiah 3. Chapter 3, and it says in verse 4, I will make mere youths their officials. children will rule over them. Let me try to bring that up closer if it'll let me. I've been just going through a lot of technical difficulties. I had to literally like uninstall some apps and reinstall because everything froze. I will make mere youths their officials. Children will rule over them. That's what we're seeing now, right? Like, who cares what a little child has to say about the matter? Like, promoting murder, but like, if that happened to her, she wouldn't even be here saying that. Isn't that like the height of hypocrisy? So children are being bred to be chaos agents, and just look at the youth of Hitler's time. Like, the same thing's happening now. They're saying people will oppress each other, man against man, neighbor against neighbor. The youth will rise up against the old, the nobody against the honored. In some other versions, they'll say the base, which you see like these vile people with no morals against the people that follow biblical principles. So you're seeing all this stuff is happening now. And really, really vile. They don't tell you, I'm going to put this link up to the dark side and how people regret it so much. And that this person said, I was 32 and pregnant with twins. It was the worst thing I've ever done. I cry every night over that bad choice I made. I've confided a lady at church just talking about it has taken a lot of pain away. And it's just, it's the worst thing ever. They don't talk about that and this so-called very high suicide rate, because when you demoralize people and make them just like a bundle of cells, which is so hypocritical. And most of these people have children themselves, but they want you to murder yours, you understand? So they're calling it healthcare. That's the trigger. So I just want to put this short piece together to show the doublespeak, because it's so important. And this is a huge problem. This really, really affected a lot of people in my life just for renaming murder what it is, regardless of what happened to you. Like, that wasn't the baby's fault or whatever, regardless, you know what I mean? But they're making it like it should be a privilege to do this. Like, there are not health ramifications and emotional and spiritual ramifications for the rest of your life, ladies. Just saying, if you're thinking of one or whatever out there, believe me, I can go into story after story of people who would tell you otherwise, and you need to learn the dark side before you make such a life-changing decision like that.
At the Supreme Court, riot police stood between protesters for and against abortion rights.
The restrictions that are being forced on women and are being discussed right now are unconscionable.
If we're really marching for women's rights, we shouldn't exclude the preborn from that.
The face-off followed a day of demonstrations.
We shouldn't exclude the preborn. You see how sick these witches and these Satanists are? I mean, even this person said, Saber, that woman has a sign that says she got a safe and legal abortion. I wonder if the dead baby felt the same way. Isn't that, no rights, this is depopulation. And you think these people are not allowed here for a reason? Obviously, if there wasn't some type of inside plot to depopulate, just think of the Georgia Guidestones. Just think of all like the fetal testing that goes into your beloved syringes.
Demonstrations.
Abortion! Anytime! Any reason!
That began near the White House.
Abortion is health care.
Nancy Travers says she had one in her 20s and supports a woman's right to choose.
But how hard of a decision was that for you?
I never considered raising the child myself because I just couldn't.
Around 600 events were held around the country, from D.C. to Texas, to protest that state's new heartbeat law, which bans most abortions at approximately 6 weeks. And to take a stand ahead of a critical case before the High.
This is all human sacrifice right before Samhain, guys. So you see how there were different nations. They're trying, so they're doing a lot of doublespeak calling. I'm citing fair use. I'll put the 2 clips for education and awareness, but really sad, guys. So if anyone's even thinking about it, or if you had one, my heart goes out to you, and just pray to the Most High for forgiveness, and that, walk upright and warn against it to other people, because this is such a very important topic, and we can go into it in several topics, and I know this is sensitive, But people need to understand that there is a dark side, and it is very dark from its inception, and it has nothing to do with your rights. Because if you think that the communist so-called corporation that is trying to mandate things today, which has the word man, it's all man-made traditions, has your best interest and, is all about making sure that you're taken care of, that's also doublespeak. When the mafia says they're going to take care of someone, you better think twice and stop being so naive, right? Because they're talking in double innuendos, guys. So check this out. My heart goes out to anyone. And together with some information and some encouragement and some warnings, like, I'm really disgusted that they're bringing children into it, but I see them all being chaos agents, because how are you allowed on the Capitol, right? They would have had freaking, their military shooting down those people, if anything, right? If they didn't have permission to be pushing that message. Would you see an anti-syringe rally on the doorsteps? I don't think so. They wouldn't even let them 1 mile near that area, right? So just funny, like, look at the certain so-called marches and the type of topics that they're pushing would be very educational. So listen to some of this, and I hope it helps somebody out there, if anything.
I was 21, and I was in a relationship that wasn't very serious, per se. And I can still remember sitting there in utter horror. And every thought was obliterated by the shame and the shock and the panic. And all I could think about was, how do I get myself out of this terrible mess as quickly as possible? And I had an abortion within the hour. I didn't take time to think about it.
I made the decision out of fear of embarrassment, fear of the neighbors finding out, fear of the people that I went to school find out about, my friends find out. The decision was made out of fear.
I chose it. I chose to have an abortion.
Statistics show that 1 in 6 of all North American women have experienced abortion at least once. According to Jenny McDermott, most haven't had a safe place to deal with the loss. McDermott is the author of Living in Color, a book about post-abortion recovery.
I would have to say that, sadly, it continues to be the dark secret. The dark secret. And it is a profoundly disturbing topic.
People don't talk about it. The rates of suicide in women who've had abortions are extremely high, and a lot of women out there are acting out and having post-traumatic stress and really haven't forgiven themselves for what they have done. So for any woman out there experience any of that, just know that you're not alone. There are many other women like that, and that it's not something that is gonna heal in this lifetime. It's between you and your maker. And we've all been fed propaganda. And in this communist world, they were pushing that in school really hard. Like, oh, it's not really a human. It's not really this or that. Even though they can feel a heartbeat and all that, it's enough to call it that. And they say, like, the so-called soul is inserted at like 7 hours of conception, and that the nervous system is already in place that early, so what is that telling you, right? So they just renamed it and made us think that it was acceptable to kill our own, and you think that they just give that child a proper burial. I don't think so. They use that child for parts for their disgusting satanic human experiments, and the scientists get a hold of that and do God knows what, right? So please, if anyone thinks this is a light matter, it isn't.
Topic. And so women are not talking.
For years, McDermott carried her own dark secret before realizing she couldn't deny its impact on her life anymore.
I realized that this life of pretense was something that I could not keep up for the rest of my life. Some women go into meltdown immediately after an abortion procedure, and others can keep things buttoned down for a long time, and I was one of those. But there was a deadness and a flatness and a grayness to my life that I just could no longer deny.
and wonderful things were happening around me, but I just didn't feel as if I could engage with joy. I just had refused to go to that place where I could resolve that loss.
Dion had her abortion over 13 years ago and says the journey to recovery has not been an easy one.
I just pushed it down, pretended it didn't happen, but I found that something had really changed within me. I didn't trust myself anymore. I didn't trust other people anymore. I built a wall around myself. I didn't let anybody in. I turned to, I guess sort of cliches like drinking and drugs and food, and just to block people away and just build a wall.
And though she later became a Christian and found community in her church, she still carried the feelings of shame.
I didn't share it with any of my friends that I met that were believers. If they really knew me, really know what I had done, they wouldn't really like me anymore.
Shame, says author Jenny McDermott, is a common emotion for many women after an abortion, especially in the church.
You've got to understand that an abortion choice, this kind of grief, is particularly difficult because we've brought it on ourselves, and it is our own child that is lost at our own hand. And when you consider how the pro-life people and Christians feel about it and think about their condemnation, they hate what we have done. But believe me, they don't hate what we have done as much as we hate what we have done. And we have to live with that, the reality of that.
McDermott says there are few safe places to turn to for those wanting to get help.
And we've got these widely polarized camps. So over here we've got the pro-lifers, the Christians, and of course over here we've got the pro-choice. But neither of those places is a safe place for a woman wrestling with post-abortion turmoil. She's afraid of being judged and condemned if she goes to the pro-lifers. But if she goes to the pro-choicers, they do not want to hear that there's any negative fallout, because they're promoting their idea that it's a woman's body, it's her choice, it's a way out of a tight spot, and it's supposed to bring relief and not grief.
And that's why she created the Living in Color course, an 8-week course run out of the Calgary Pregnancy Care Center that provides a safe place for women to work through their grief.
Many women who come to see us cannot even say the word. They'll say the procedure, or they'll use the expression, the A word, or they can't even verbalize the word. They are so traumatized by it.
So that was for those who think that there's no long-term ramifications. Some people cannot even utter the words, guys. So I'm going to put a link below. I hope this resonated with some people. This was really, really heart-wrenching. Okay, and if you haven't checked me out on Dia Dash, I was censored, like a lot of independent people with real morals and concern for the human condition, which we got a lot of devils infiltrating themselves as human, but trying to tell you it's okay for you to kill your own and act like you're going to be okay after. So my heart goes out to anybody out there, and I'll talk to you soon, guys. Take care.